Okay, part 2. It's been so long, it's going to be a longer video. On the 19th, when I had picked up that fabric, I also grabbed this one, Circle of Friends. I have 3 daughters. There's 3 ladies. I don't like this fabric, but there's 3 ladies and my 3 daughters. So, there's that. On the 12th, when I was at the stitching gathering, JK Stitch and Cluck, I should write that in. Try and link that too. Stitch and Cluck. It's a group on Facebook, and I'll try and remember to link it. If I forget, just gently remind me. This is the one I was obsessed with, Dream Weaver Rapture by Meridian Designs. And so I finished her. So I'll give you the overall. And then some up close here. Look at her hair. All the beads. And yes, these are Swarovski crystals here. So let's have an honest discussion here. I have used Millhill beads for 25 years. They are a consistent product. I've liked them. You do get the oddballs. I kind of like that not every bead is absolutely uniform because it gives a little character to the piece. Personal opinion. Or at least most pieces. There are a few that you don't want to have that, but can we be honest on pricing? Millhill kind of has a stranglehold on the cross-stitch market. They're a decent company, a decent product, but for the same money you can get more beads. So I have 2 bead containers that have Millhill beads. And other stitchers have been talking, particularly Stephanie, Miss Oh So Crafty, it pops into mind. When she did her Enchanted Mermaid, she said that embellishments alone would cost between $130 and $150. Not threads, fabric, or pattern. And I thought, $150 for beads? But I did some research and she was absolutely right if you use the called for. And she had said that she substituted and found other sources, and I think she said she spent around $30 or less on beads. And so I started doing my research. And I had to order on this piece, I had to order these larger crystals. I needed 14 of them. I actually ordered 15 in case one of the beads was wonky, and none of them were, so I threw an extra bead on here. And no, I have no idea where the extra bead is, but I threw an extra bead on here because I had it. And there's 6 Millhill beads. I had 4 of them. And so Millhill beads are Japanese seed beads, size 11. That's all that was called for in this pattern. There were no size 15s called for in this pattern. So for those 2 beads that I did not have, I purchased Japanese seed beads in a color very, very, very similar to the called for color. I actually totally changed one of the colors. I did not like the Millhill color. I didn't like it. I wanted something a little brighter, so I did change a color. One of the beads, so for Millhill, for $1.85, for argument's sake here, I could get 250 beads. I got from this other company, fusionbeads.com, for 85 cents because they were having a sale, normally $1.35. I ended up with almost 1,100 beads. Now, I do a lot of beading in my cross stitch. I know not everybody likes it, but I like beading. So having a collection of beads is fine for me, and getting a better value for my money is fabulous. For the other bead, so there's one bead I for 85 cents I got about 1,100. For the other one, it was just over $4 because of the finish and the type of bead. It changed, the prices change. But again, I got $1,100 or 1,100 beads versus about 250 beads. To me, that's a better value for my money. For 20, I could have gotten 2 packages of Mill Hill. That still would only been 500 beads. So it's still a decent price. And for these Swarovski crystals, these large ones here, Mill Hill has something very similar size-wise, and I needed 14, so I had, and there's 3 in a pack on Mill Hill, so I have to buy 5 packs. So I'd have to spend $8 to $9 on Mill Hill beads, where I can get from Fusion Beads, because of the sale they had, I got them 11 cents a piece. Normally they're like 14 or 15 cents a piece. So, or when I priced them out, through Mill Hill they'd be 50 cents a bead. Through Fusion Beads they'd be 14 cents a bead. No-brainer. So, I'll challenge you. Now these large ones, you know, are the Swarovski, but the small ones, the small seed beads, can you tell me which 2 colors are not actual Mill Hill beads? They're seed beads, but tell me which ones are not Mill Hill and which ones are. There's 6 colors of beads. You can't do it. You can't do it. So that's what I'm going to start doing, is starting to convert. Now there are some Mill Hill, like the frosted beads. I have not been able to find frosted seed beads in other places that I actually would want to substitute. But for the metallic coat beads, or the lined beads, or those clear ones, I know which 2 are not Mill Hill. You can find the right size Japanese seed beads. One of the beads that I ordered ended up being Toho under that name, and one of them was under Mayuki, or at least that's how I say it. But tell me, which 2 beads are not Mill Hill? You're not going to be able to do it. And they stitched up so nicely. Yeah, there was a little quirkiness in the bead, but not horrible at all, unusable at all. Although, to be honest, I did fling a few across the room, because I always do when I bead. But I'm going to start, when I don't have the Mill Hill bead, see if I can find something comparable at a better price. So build up that supply. And then what I did on the little package, I should have grabbed it out of here. I put, okay, this is the Mill Hill equivalent, so I put that number on the front, and then I put a label on the bottom of what it actually is. And so that's why I put this on my wish list like 2 days, you know, like the week before Christmas. And this is what my husband chose for my wish list. So this is going to be the other beads other than Mill Hill. And this is harder for me. I've been able to switch. Oh, this piece of hair is driving me nuts. I had my hair cut. I've been able to switch out fabrics for a long time and getting comfortable switching out threads, but switching out the embellishments, it's a little scarier for me. But price-wise, it makes a whole lot of sense. So that's my 2 cents. I think Mill Hill is a quality product. They tend to be very consistent, as in beads that I have that are literally 20 years old, that I used in a project 20 years ago. I can use those in a project today, no question. Not worried at all. I think one of the beads in there actually is from a different project 20 years ago that I did. I think it was Angel of Summer that my oldest daughter has, by Lavender and Lace. and it looks fine. It looks fabulous. It's exactly what I want. So mill has good consistency. Most of the colors, although every once in a while you get a color bead and it's kind of like, ugh. Like that one, I didn't like the color, so I chose a different color. And they tend to be a little easier to track down. Price is the biggest con for, you know, what you get, what you have. I do like that their packages are all the same size. Before I found this beadings kit system thing, I could put them all in the same thing because they were all the same size, or the majority of them were. There are a few Millhill packages that are different size, but for what you get, particularly the crystals and the Magnifica, those are the ones that are supposed to be like delicas. Those tend to be the pricier ones. So I'm going to slowly start switching over to other beads and becoming more comfortable doing that. It's easier said than done, though. When you make that kind of change, you think, oh, it's just a simple change. And for some people, it'd be a very simple change. I can switch fabrics like nothing. Fibers, it depends on the project. But beads, embellishments, I've always, this is what the pattern calls for. Now I need to kind of get outside that box. So it's a learning thing for me. I was going to talk about David's Tea, the advent calendar, but I'm not going to do that this video because I left it upstairs. But is that all my stitching? Well, almost. I have another thing. So life updates. So my oldest daughter, we have her appointment next week. We'll find out what the next step is on her chemo, or I'm sorry, her cancer treatment. It does not look like her port will be removed anytime soon, which is, she wants it out. You know, just kind of get that reminder out. And her hair is slowly coming back. So overall, she's feeling good. Her white cell count is coming back into the normal range where it should be. It's been all over the place since before she was diagnosed and treatment. And yeah, it's been, because they wipe out your immune system essentially. So that's her, my Marine. He was here. He's now back. He probably graduates from there June, barring any injuries. Better not get injured again. My husband and I are thinking of flying out and seeing him maybe around March, our anniversary, so we'll see how that goes. Our fourth child, he moved out on the 1st of January. And all amicable, all of that, but it's hard. You know, when your kids become adults, it's hard. It's a transition. And some of you with just young kids, it may be hard to imagine. I mean, it was hard for me to imagine too, but it's worth making the effort to build a relationship, but it's different. And so he moved out, and I was crying, and he's like, "Mom, are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh, I just feel like I've been the ringer." And it's a mom thing. Okay. Say hi. Hi. He had a dentist appointment Monday for his tooth because we're still wondering if it has to be pulled and all that. Right now we're good. So another 6 months and then he'll get checked again, although he does not like people putting their fingers in his mouth, do ya? Oh, you were mad. But other life things. On December 29th, well, December 30th, we went to church, and the pastor at the end of service said, we have an announcement about a family in our church. Please meet in this room. So I went there, and then my then 18-year-old son came up to me, tears in his eyes, and gave me a big hug. Anyway, it was very odd. And I said, "What's going on?" And he just couldn't speak. Pastor came in and started reading Psalm 41, I believe is what it was. Or was it Psalm 10? I think it was 41. And then he made the announcement. The night before, a young man in our church, who is one of my son's best friends, was driving home, and he hit a patch of ice, and he was killed. He was 19, and we were all shocked. I mean, my son had hung out with him that Friday, and after the announcement, I hugged my son. He just totally broke down. So we came home. My husband had we'd taken 2 vehicles because we had plans that afternoon. He brought the other children home. And told my husband what had happened. And this young man, speed was not involved. No weird alcohol, anything was involved. It was ice and lost control. He had another vehicle, and those people are still in critical condition, last I heard. So it was a rather serious accident. And my son went to his room and he cried for 3 hours until he fell asleep. Those type of things are hard for adults to understand, let alone see your son go through that. I didn't know the young man very well, but I know his parents, and his mom and I have talked. I've known him for 6 or 7 years. And we've talked a lot. She homeschooled, and her son was in Taekwondo, our kids were in Taekwondo, and just nicest people in the world. And his sister's a couple years younger, and my daughter knows her, and it was a shock. 3 of my boys were really good friends with him, hung out with him a lot, and so I had to tell. My Marine was one, and my 4th child was another. And so I had to tell them what had happened. And we ended our time that morning. We were all weeping for the young man and for his family. And we sang Amazing Grace. And I just hugged my son until he stopped crying. And when I went to Stitchville on the 5th, this obviously was still very much on my mind, because the funeral had not been held at that time. And so I found this piece, Amazing Grace by My Big Toe Designs. This one is number 88. They have a couple of different versions. There are 3 colors in this design, and this young man's favorite colors were red and black. And so for the main color, which is eggplant, is what's charted, I'm going to use black, 310. And then for purple haze, I'm going to use red. I have not chosen the red. And then ivy, I will have to choose a green. But I want to stitch this for his family in his name. And so I picked up the fabric on the 19th. Stitchville did not have a bonus piece. And it's 36 count flax. So this is a piece. My family tree is one piece that I want to have completed in 2019. And this is the other one I want to have done so I can give it to them before the 1st anniversary. My husband and I and our son attended the funeral. This young man affected a lot of people in a good way. There was standing room only. And his parents, I mean, they got up and they shared about their son. We took our son out to dinner after the funeral. And we said, how could, that was one of our children. We could not get up there. The hardest part was when they closed the casket. The mom and dad closed the casket. So I'm going to do this piece in his honor. His name is Noah. And our son is now 19. His birthday was a couple weeks ago. And my son is better. I mean, he's still mourning his friend and seeking ways to help the family. But yeah. So having a craft like this that we can kind of express our emotions is a blessing. So I'm sorry I have to end on that note, but I will do a video to update you on what happens with my daughter. Yes. I was going to say something else too, but I can't remember. But I hope you all keep it warm, and especially in this winter ice, drive safe. It doesn't take much to hydroplane. It does not take much. And I thank you all for watching, subscribing. No. I know there's so many people that you can watch, but I thank you for watching. And I will let you guys go so I can put this little one down for a nap. You need a nap, don't you? Yes, you do. So, love to you all. God bless.